There are seasons where life doesn't just feel busy or stressful, it feels heavy. You wake up and your chest already feels weighted before you've even checked your phone. Simple tasks feel complicated. Decisions that used to be easy feel loaded. You look at the road ahead and all you see is fog. Nothing is dramatically exploding maybe, but everything feels harder than it used to. You might be thinking, why does it feel like I'm dragging myself through wet cement? Why does my life feel so loud and yet so empty at the same time? Carl Jung would say, there are times when heaviness is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're in the pre-breakthrough phase, the pressure that often arrives before something deep shifts inside you. Before we go deeper, take a breath with me. If lately your life has felt heavy in that quiet, exhausting way, like you're moving through a chapter you can't name yet, type the word breakthrough in the comments. You don't have to explain anything if you don't want to. That one word is just you telling your own soul, I see that this weight is here, and I'm open to the idea that it might mean something. And if you find these kinds of Jung-inspired reflections helpful in the middle of what you're carrying, it truly helps when you like this video and subscribe to the channel so these messages stay close to you. I'm also slowly building this work one video at a time, and if you ever feel like quietly supporting what I'm doing here, there's a little Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. It's never expected, but always deeply appreciated. It helps me keep showing up and making more of these for you. At the end of this video, there'll be a playlist on the end screen. If this speaks to you, save it. Let it play softly at night while you drift off. Your body will sleep, but your subconscious will keep listening, keep integrating, keep loosening whatever is ready to shift. Now, let's talk about why your life might feel so heavy right now, and why, from a Jungian lens, that could mean you're closer to a breakthrough than you think. There is a kind of heaviness that comes when the life you've built no longer fits the person you're becoming. On paper, maybe nothing looks bad. You might have responsibilities, relationships, routines that once made sense. People around you might even say, "You're doing well," or "You're so strong." But inwardly, there's a low-grade ache. You look around at your own life and feel like a guest instead of the host. You show up to obligations but feel disconnected, like you're watching a movie of yourself. Even joy feels blunted, like you're experiencing it through glass. Jung would call this a conflict between your persona, the mask you present to the world, and yourself, the deeper, authentic center of who you are. For a long time, your persona protected you. It helped you fit in, be liked, be useful, be good. You became the reliable one, the capable one, the strong one, the agreeable one, the one who doesn't cause trouble. But the self isn't satisfied with a lifetime of pretending. So when you've stretched the persona as far as it can go, life starts to feel heavy. Not because you're weak, but because you're carrying a version of yourself that no longer matches your truth. It's like wearing a beautiful outfit that fit 5 years ago and now is 2 sizes too small. You can squeeze into it, you can zip it up, but every breath is uncomfortable. Your heaviness is the weight of the mismatch. You go to work, to social events, to family gatherings, and feel your inner world whispering, "This doesn't feel like me anymore." But you keep going because you don't yet know another way. The pre-breakthrough phase often begins here, when you can no longer fully lie to yourself, but you're not yet sure how to live differently. Jung would say the psyche starts to build pressure from the inside when a new chapter is trying to be born. That pressure is what you're feeling. Another layer of heaviness comes when things quietly start to fall apart. You notice small fractures. The friendship that always relied on you being the listener, not the one who shares. The relationship where you go along to avoid conflict, even when your heart feels unseen. The job where you're praised for overworking, but never really valued for who you are. At first, you try to hold everything together. You tell yourself, it's just a phase. I'm overthinking. I should be grateful. But the cracks widen. People you thought were permanent begin to feel distant, whether physically or emotionally. Old roles that once gave you identity now feel like costumes you're tired of wearing. Plans you've clung to for years begin to dissolve or no longer excite you the way they used to. This is where life starts to feel really heavy, because you're trying to carry both what is dying and what is trying to be born. Jung often described this tension as the clash of opposites inside you, the old pattern and the emerging self. On one side is your longing for safety, predictability, familiar approval. On the other side is your longing for authenticity, wholeness, and honest life. When you try to cling to both, you get exhausted. You might feel like you're failing at everything, not fully present in your old life, not fully stepping into anything new. But from a Jungian perspective, this in-between is not a mistake. It's the psychic hallway between one room of your life and the next. Heavy, yes. Empty, sometimes, but also necessary. Think of a caterpillar in a cocoon. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. From the inside, everything is dissolving and reshaping. If the caterpillar tried to keep part of itself outside the cocoon and part inside, it would tear. The heaviness you feel is a sign that your old self and your emerging self are pulling at each other. Your system is saying, we cannot stay as we were, even if your mind is saying, I'm scared to change. If you've been feeling this already, like you're standing in your own life but not fully in it, like you're in a hallway with no clear doors yet, take a breath. You're not broken, you're in transit. If any of this is resonating, by the way, and you haven't yet, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. It helps this little corner of the internet grow, and it tells the algorithm there are people who need this kind of depth. Now, Jung would also tell you this. Before a breakthrough, the shadow often gets louder. The shadow is everything in you that you've been taught to hide. Anger, jealousy, grief, neediness, fear, desire, vulnerability, even your hunger for a bigger life. For years, you might have survived by pushing these parts down. You told yourself, I'm fine, even when you weren't. You swallowed your no to keep people happy. You held your tears until no one could see. Eventually, your shadow stops quietly waiting. In the pre-breakthrough phase, you might notice you're more irritable than usual. Tiny things set you off. You feel resentment toward roles you once embraced. You're suddenly aware of how much you've given without receiving. You might feel ashamed of these reactions. I should be more grateful. I shouldn't be angry. I'm being dramatic. But Jung would say, the shadow is not appearing to shame you. It's appearing to free you. Your anger might be saying, I've accepted too little for too long. Your sadness might be saying, I've carried everyone else's pain and ignored my own. Your envy might be saying, there are desires in me I've never allowed myself to pursue. The psyche cannot move you into a new life while you're still denying who you are and what you feel. So it lets your shadow surface. This can make life feel heavier because suddenly your inner world is loud. Memories you haven't thought about in years rise up. Old heartbreaks suddenly ache again. Things you shrugged off now sting. You might wonder, why am I feeling so much? Why now? Because what you don't face, you drag. If you're heading toward a breakthrough, a shift in how you relate to yourself, to others, to your path, your unconscious doesn't want you to drag old chains into that new space. So it brings your unhealed places to the surface, not to punish you, but to give you a chance to relate to them differently. Instead of saying, what's wrong with me, you start to ask, what is this feeling trying to show me? That shift alone is huge. Another reason the pre-breakthrough phase feels so heavy is isolation. Jung noticed that when a person is going through a deep inner process, they often feel separated from others, not because no one loves them, but because they no longer fit easily into their old social world. You might sit with people you've known for years and feel strangely far away. Topics that used to excite you now bore you. You crave deeper conversation, but you're surrounded by surfaces. You scroll and see everyone posting their highlight reels while you're quietly unraveling. You stop sharing as much because you don't know how to explain what you're going through. It can feel like you're on your own little island. But Jung would say, individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, often requires a period of aloneness, not as punishment, but as a sacred container. If you were surrounded by noise, you'd keep distracting yourself. If everyone approved of your old life, you'd never question it. If you stayed busy enough, you'd never sit still long enough to hear your own soul. So life slows you down, plans get cancelled, people pull away, or life pulls them. You have long stretches of time with your own thoughts that you didn't ask for. It feels heavy. But if you look closer, it's also an invitation. Who are you when no one is clapping? What do you want when no one is telling you who to be? What do you believe when you're not echoing the loudest voices around you? These questions don't feel like a party. They feel like work. Quiet, invisible work that nobody sees. But in Jung's work, this is where real breakthroughs are born. The heaviness forces you to stop distracting yourself with old patterns. And in that forced quiet, you start to see, this relationship isn't right for me. This habit is slowly killing my spirit. This job is misaligned with my actual gifts. This version of me is more about survival than truth. You might not yet know what to do about it, but seeing it is the first step. Life feels heavy because awakening is heavy. You can't unsee what you've seen about yourself. You can't unfeel what your body has finally admitted. You can't go back to believing what you now know is a lie. This is why the pre-breakthrough phase hurts. Part of you is trying to climb back into the old skin, while another part of you refuses. And the refusal is grace. In the middle of all this, your energy drops. You sleep more. You stare into space more. Tasks that used to be automatic now take twice as long. At first, you panic. I'm losing my edge. I'm falling behind. I'm getting lazy. But Jung would ask you to look at what your energy is saying no to. Are you exhausted when you're doing what truly matters to you? Or when you're doing what you think you're supposed to care about? Sometimes the heaviness is your psyche withdrawing power from a life built on shoulds. I should stay. I should be okay with this. I should keep quiet. I should be over this by now. Your deeper self is not interested in a life built on should. It's interested in a life built on truth. So your motivation dries up for anything that requires you to betray yourself, and you mistake that for failure when it might be the first evidence that you're waking up. If you're feeling that right now, like the old fuel doesn't work anymore, like your body and soul won't let you grind the way you used to, that is often the final stretch before something gives. Breakthroughs are rarely a single lightning bolt. They're usually a series of small internal clicks. You say no where you always said yes. You choose rest where you always chose people-pleasing. You tell the truth in a conversation where you'd usually stay quiet. You let something end that you've been clinging to, even as it drains you. From the outside, nothing huge looks different at first. From the inside, everything is different. Because the heaviness, instead of crushing you, starts to organize you. You begin to realize, I can't carry all of this anymore. I have to decide what's actually mine. And so, slowly, you put down blame that isn't yours. You put down responsibilities that were never meant to be yours alone. You put down expectations that were inherited, not chosen. You put down identities that were survival tools, not your essence. The weight doesn't vanish overnight. But as you sort piece by piece, something shifts. You notice a little more breath in your chest. You notice a little more clarity in your mind. You notice that certain conversations, certain people, certain spaces feel lighter, and you're drawn to them. This is the beginning of breakthrough, not fireworks, not some magical overnight transformation, but the slow realization that you are allowed to build a life that your nervous system doesn't dread, a life where you don't have to constantly pretend, a life where the people around you are not just attached to your mask, but actually love the person underneath. A life where your work, even when it's hard, feels meaningful rather than hollow. Jung would say, the heaviness is often the psyche's last effort to keep you from wasting your life on what isn't truly yours. It presses on your chest so you can no longer ignore the truth. It slows you down so you can no longer outrun yourself. It makes the old ways unbearable so that you're forced to risk the unknown. If you're still here with me, feeling all of this in your body, this part is just for you. You, the one who feels like every day lately has a weight tied to its ankles. You, the one who is tired of being told, just be grateful, when you're clearly wrestling with something deeper. You, the one who knows you're smart, capable, strong, but privately feels like you're one more heavy month away from snapping. You are not weak. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are in the pre-breakthrough phase. The part of the story no one posts on social media. The part people forget when they tell their success narratives later. The part where the old self is dying and the new self is not yet solid enough to stand on. It's messy here. You will doubt yourself. You will want to run back to familiar pain. You will miss the days when you could numb yourself enough to tolerate things you now cannot stomach. But that intolerance, that's your evolution. You are becoming spiritually allergic to your own self-betrayal. That's why the conversations feel heavier. That's why the job feels heavier. That's why pretending feels heavier. You're not meant to go backward. Your breakthrough may not look like a movie. It might look like you finally asking for help, finally booking that therapy session, finally ending that almost relationship that was stealing your peace, finally changing a routine that numbs you, finally taking your creativity seriously, finally admitting to yourself what you actually want, one small, honest step at a time. And as you do that, the heaviness starts to shift its role. Instead of being a fog you're lost in, it becomes a signal. This feels heavy because it's out of alignment for me. Instead of hating yourself for feeling weight, you start to ask, what is this weight trying to reveal? And that's where you begin to live differently. If any part of you is whispering, this is me, this is where I am, and you haven't yet, type breakthrough in the comments. Not because everything is instantly better, not because you suddenly have the whole plan, but as your own way of marking this moment. I am in the pre-breakthrough phase. I will not confuse this heaviness with being hopeless. If this video has held you in any way today, it really does help when you like it and subscribe to the channel. It keeps this content circulating to other souls who feel heavy and don't yet know why. And if you ever feel called to support this work a little more personally, there's that small Buy Me a Coffee link waiting quietly in the description. It's a simple way to say, keep going, this matters, and it helps me keep pouring time and heart into these reflections for you. When you're about to sleep tonight, that's usually when the weight presses hardest. The thoughts come, what if it never gets better? What if this is just my life now? What if I broke something inside myself that can't be fixed? Instead of letting those be the last voices you hear, let something kinder wrap around you. At the end of this video, a playlist will pop up on the end screen. Hit play. Let it run softly in the background as you drift off. Your body will rest, but your subconscious will keep listening. Keep loosening the belief that heaviness means failure. Keep opening you to the idea that this weight might be the final pressure before a shift. Save the playlist, fall asleep with it, and little by little, let these messages sink from your mind into your soul, until one ordinary day, you notice that your life still has challenges, but the heaviness isn't sitting on your chest the same way. You're saying no where you used to say yes. You're breathing more freely in your own skin. You're building a life that feels more honest, even if it isn't perfect. And you'll realize, maybe quietly, maybe with tears in your eyes, that heavy chapter wasn't the end of you. It was the pressure before your breakthrough.